All right, so I'm going to start this video today with a tiny little bit of history about me. Long before I was an indoor cycling instructor, long before I was a presenter or even a program director, I was a passionate enthusiast. I would turn up to the gym morning, lunchtime, nighttime, and do my favorite instructors' classes. And I did this for years. I did this as part of a little bit of rehabilitative exercise that I needed to do at the time. And I did it because it was an enjoyable experience for me. And spending so much time in studios, all around Sydney, gave me the unique view and I suppose the ability to absorb what was being done by the professionals at the time. And one of the most common pieces of feedback that I sort of took on board from doing these sessions was just how much variation was happening within a class. The music is what drew me in. The music is what makes the experience even more special. And what I noticed that was in a class of 45 minutes and some classes were an hour, there was just so much variation going on. So not just variation within the program, which is fine. There was so many songs, and in a 45-minute class, often there'd be 15 or 20 pieces of music that were just sort of all lumped together. And while variation, what do they say? Variety is the spice of life. When it comes to coaching and I suppose teaching a class and having it enjoyed and then replicated, having so much go on makes it really challenging for an instructor to get into the flow, and even for a participant. If they're constantly being told information because things are changing for them with regards to the music all the time, the enjoyment factor can be reduced just slightly. So what I want to be able to do is share with you one of my tips and tricks about how to take a piece of music that you want to use for a segment of your class that might be a little bit too short and turn it into something that's ideal for your class. So let's go and have a look. State of Riders, welcome. We are definitely in studio mode. It's been a busy weekend of, I'm going to say playlist testing. I'm a few days away from a brand new episode of A State of Ride, which will air this Friday. I'm going to throw details in the comment below. And having 8 new tracks means I have 8 new opportunities to create the ideal training profile that I want to achieve for each piece of music. Now, we talked a little bit about how to find music and how to diversify your sound. So I'm not going to go into that. You can have a look at the old video on that one. But I'm going to sort of start today with I suppose just the basics about how to how to take a piece of music that you have that has the parts that you like and how to essentially make it a bit bigger, and how to do it in such a way that it doesn't sound like you've just done a simple cut paste. A little bit of massaging might be involved, but to have something that sounds uniquely yours, and that has the right fit and feel, just means that the engagement between you and the music, and therefore the expression of coaching over the music, is going to create an amazing experience for the people that happen to be doing your sessions. So before we get into that, I'm going to throw you probably the biggest tip that I can give to you when it comes to this whole creative process, and that is get yourself a set of headphones. I use the Bose noise cancelling headphones. They're a little bit of an investment. However, having spent so much time over the years listening to music, being able to just have an enclosed space to be in my own thoughts and hear what I'm actually trying to do makes the job so much smoother and, funnily enough, actually a lot quicker. Music has a lot of intricate details that can often be missed when there's background noise and background sound. So, throwing something on, even if it's just the earbuds, which I wore for many, many years, a good set of headphones will actually go a long way. Not only for your enjoyment factor, but also for the sanity of people that might live in the house with you. re-editing and remixing music for you. Even with a whole bunch of experience, there are going to be times where you will have to listen to the same beats and phrases of music quite a few times in order to make it right. So if you're pumping this music out into the room, as loving as your partners might be, hearing the same beat over and over and over again, or the same vocal cue, is going to grow pretty tiring pretty quickly. So look, in order to save not only your sanity when it comes to the creation side, but also the sanity of people around you, get yourself a set of headphones. And I'll throw the details of what I use in the description below. So that's, I suppose, where we are. Again, I'm in my quiet space, pardon the mess in the background, but that's pretty standard within the workshop. So I'm going to throw across to my music editing software. So I use Mixmeister Fusion. Actually, no, I don't. I use Mixmeister Express. There you go. Fusion's the next one up. So I use Mixmeister Express. It's about a $70 product that has a lifetime license. So, $70 spent nearly 15 years ago. That's money well spent. There may be some other software that's out there that does a little bit more. However, for the basic needs of an indoor cycling instructor, or even a fitness instructor for that matter, cut, loop, speed up, change the pitch or the key of a song, which we're not going to touch on today, but it's worth saying, or some basic EQ functions, so increasing bass or reducing mid-range, can all be done on this software with relative ease, right? It's a really simple piece and a very nice interface, right? It's easy on the eye, and you're not going to get lost in a whole bunch of stuff on the screen. So there's 3 sections of screen that I've got visible for you now. You've got your library on the left-hand side, showing the song that we're playing with, or your whole library. Now I've just hidden some of the other stuff. I don't need to give all my secrets away yet. The playlist of the songs that we're going to play with, so that's on the right-hand side, and then a visual representation of this song in, I'm going to say, like a wave form. Now this is purely based on the intensity of the music. So let's just say the overall volume or the bass intensity. Now, just some really cool pieces of information that you can get from this straight off is available for you. So if you look up here, and I've circled this with my mouse, up here it says what the BPM. Now I'm using a breakbeat piece of music. So with a breakbeat, the kick drum is on every second beat. So this gives me a BPM of 86. Now, we can talk about cadence ranges and RPMs, but knowing how this song sounds, it's actually of about 172 beats per minute. But again, it's breakbeat, so there's every second. It's going to give me 86. So that's actually going to be my cadence range. And if you've done the ASOR ride, or you've been part of any of my experiences, track 4 is my interval attacks, and the cadence range that I use, the sweet spot is actually 86. So we're going to use this one. So what I'm going to do before we get too far into this is I'm just going to hit play on the start of the track so you can hear and have a visual representation as to what you're actually looking at when it comes to throwing it up on the screen. So let's press play and go.
Just like we do, two crazy fools just breaking free. No, it don't matter what we've been told. I can see the skies gold. Yeah, it's just you and me, an open road. Let's go. I don't see no red lights, just a wild ride. You're my getaway, you're my getaway. Tonight I'm gonna be alright. You're my getaway, you're my getaway tonight.
All right, so there you go. What I've just done is I've just played for you the intro, the first verse, the pre-chorus and just the start of the chorus. And what you would have seen is as the music builds in its volume and or builds in its intensity, that you have a visual graph that represents obviously that increase in intensity as we go. So if we just take a step back from the smaller parts and just look at the overall picture of the song, you'll see that we've got two really big pieces. Now I'm going to just highlight one and highlight two. So it's safe to say that if the first one, which we heard was the start of the chorus, if we've got something that looks the same, you know what, it probably is going to be the same. So without going too much further into the music mapping side, I can tell you that I have two choruses that are identical. They're nearly identical in duration, and they have nearly the same intensity piece. So, musically, they're going to be pretty much the same. Now, I am going to be a little bit cheeky and say I'm old school. I'm very analog. I have a notebook in front of me here where I spend 2 listens of the track, and what I do is I'll actually write down all of the parts of the song and the musical phrases. So the intros, the verses, pre-chorus, chorus, instrumentals, any sort of upbeats or bridges that happen to occur within the music. And having this framework makes the visible or the digital side, I should say, so much easier to understand. So this is a process that you can overlook, but I can tell you that every time that I miss this and I just go to the digital side, I usually spend twice as long on it. So, 2 listens of a song to give me some framework, and then I know, maybe what I want to be able to reuse and remix and re-edit. This makes that really easy. So, as I said to you a moment ago, we have 2 pieces of music within the chorus, or 2 choruses within the music that are going to be my working efforts. Now, I'm happy with how long these are. I'm not going to do anything with the length, but I just want to do more of them. And to be quite honest, 3 minutes 50, it's just not long enough, all right? So I only want to use this song. I don't want to use something else. So if I want to, I could really just take the back end of the song from the first chorus. I can cut it. And if I just place the first chorus copy and the second chorus copy over the second chorus, I now have 3, all right? And if I do that again, and you'll see I'm just wiping off the back end of the track so you can just see. So now I have a song that has 1, 2, 3, 4 choruses. All right, it's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 verses and an outro. All right, so straight off the bat, in less than, a minute, I've now got myself a song that, in its basic framework, has all the working parts that I need. And looking at where my time marker happens to be, and I'm just going to do a quick adjustment here. All right, perfect. So I'm just zooming out. So I did say to you that we had 4 pieces. So just put my timing mark at the end. So I've just taken a song that's 3 minutes 50. I've repeated the chorus or the verse, pre-chorus, chorus sequence twice, which has given me a song that's now 7 minutes. Now, at its most basic, if I do a little bit of polishing of this, I've got a song that has all the parts that I need. I can coach and set up the first one and execute and teach over the first chorus. I can essentially repeat and reinforce during the second phase. And then the third and the fourth, I can be as creative as I want with my coaching because my participants already know what they're doing. All right. But here's the thing. This section of music here, this section of music here, and this section of music here are now identical. Now, as you would probably know, listening to music, that each verse has a particular lyric set or a story to be told, and while you might think that it doesn't make much of a difference if it always sounds the same, it does. It actually can make a significant difference. So I'm going to just delete that off the screen, and we're going to start again. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to repeat this sequence. So I'm going to make a track from this that has 4 working phases. So I'm going to have verse, pre-chorus, chorus, excuse me, and I'm going to do the same. So I'm happy for it to go verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus. But what I don't necessarily want to do is just repeat this section here over and over again. Right, it's going to get pretty boring, and you know what, me being me, I'm going to get bored pretty quickly as well. So I'm going to do a little bit of massage here because there's some parts that are kind of important. So I'm going to take the whole section again, and I am going to overlay into the track, and I'm just going to paste that over the top there. So I've now just got a 3-chorus piece of music. So I've made an edit point here, so I've just clicked on the sector, or the segment I should say, and I'm going to zoom in. So you can see that I have 2 files that sit side by side. So on the right hand side is the part that I've just overlaid, so the copy that I've made from the front, and then the second side of the edit component, there it is there. This is the original track as I go. So I'm going to zoom out here. And what I want to do is I don't want to just simply place it over the top because the beats aren't going to line up and it's going to sound off. And I'll show you what I mean. So if I just hit play. All right, so there's a little bit of a break going in here, and I want to make sure that the beats line up. So all that I've done is I'm going to zoom right in, and you can see that this is where the first kick drum happens to be. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply place my duplicate start right over the top of where the old one was. So now I have a seamless copy over the top that you should be able to hear. Let's have a listen. Perfect. All right. So I now have the chorus, which was the first chorus, playing where the second chorus happens to be. Now this is kind of important. Now what I'm actually looking to do is I'm needing to be able to make this sound as original as possible. So I noticed that at the end of the first chorus I've got this dropping fade that then goes into the build for what the second verse would be. So I'm going to play that now. Okay, so what we've had is we've had a big build in the music, a big break, the music drops away, and then it slowly comes back into its next phase. Now, what we have here is this section, which we just heard a moment ago. This has been repeated exactly straight after. Now, I want to create a little bit of contrast, so I want to have a different sound in here. This is where you can start to get a little bit cheeky in your own edits and really make something that's sort of fun for yourself. So I'm going to go right back to the very start of the track. So I'm going to go right back to the very intro. And if you listen to the first verse. So that's the first few words of the first verse. Now I'm going to play the second verse. Sounds the same, different lyrics. Don't know what they are, but I'm just telling you they're different lyrics. So because I want this third section here to be different to the second, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take this from the very beginning of the track. So I'm going to copy that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a really rough copy here, a rough paste. I'm going to place that over the top. So what I've got now is I've got first verse, first chorus, second verse, first chorus repeated, but it's in place 2. And now I'm dropping into what will be verse 3. But what I've done is I've taken the verse from the very start of the track, and I'm now going to sort of create a bit of a mishmash into something that is completely unique to me. So in order to tidy this up, I'm going to zoom right in. And you can see there's a little spike here. And that's going to correlate directly to the spike that's here. It's going to be exactly the same. So if I take that and I just clean that up, let me zoom out and just make sure it's smooth. All right, so what we've got there is exactly the first verse that's being repeated again. Now, I don't necessarily just want to repeat the first verse. So what I'm going to do is you'll see that I've just dragged across, let me wipe that out a little bit. So what I've done is I'm actually just playing with where the merge point happens to be. So on the left-hand side of where that flashing marker is, I've got the second verse playing. On the right-hand side, I've got the first verse. Now, the trick here is being able to find where I can merge the two, that I'm essentially making a new verse. All right? So I'm taking a little bit of one and a little bit of the other, but I want to make sure that musically they sound the same. Now, within the words, it can be nonsense, and if you listen to some of my remixes and edits, there are some sentences and phrases of words that make no sense at all. However, they sound different. You can't hear that they're nonsensical words, but they just have that little bit of variation that stops people from picking up that it's actual repeat. So I'm going to hit play just on the verse.
It's getting dark, let's light a spark, ignite our hearts and rise on it. How about we do just...
Okay, so that wasn't too bad, but there was just a little bit of something that I didn't like there. So a little kick in the music. So what it tells me is just the beat is slightly off. I'll zoom back out again. And I'm probably going to want that about halfway. So let's play that again.
It's getting dark, let's light a spark, ignite them, but your eyes on it.
Perfect.
How about we do just like we do, two crazy fools just breaking free.
So I'm going to play that again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom right in. So I've found a part of the song that you can't hear that there's a shift in the pitch or a shift in the cymbals, and they merge in very nicely together. So it starts with one verse, goes to another, and I've now created my very own unique version of this song.
It's getting dark, let's light a spark, ignite them, but your eyes on it. How about we do just like we do, two crazy...
All right, there we go. So all that I've done is I've now just created a brand new verse which will sit in place of where verse 3 will be. Now, if I just roll the rest of that song out, I've got verse 1, verse 2. Then I've got verse 1, 2 mash, which we're going to call verse 3. Then, if I just allow the song to play out in its original form with minimal editing and changing going on, I repeat verse 2. Now, because it was probably 2 minutes earlier that was actually played through, probably makes no difference that you're hearing it again because it wasn't necessarily the last piece that was heard. So, I could safely take this track right now, just tidy up the tail end. So I've got verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus with an outro. There it is. I've now got an interval-based song or an interval-based training profile that gives me 4 work efforts that musically has some parts that are identical and familiar to allow really clear coaching to occur. Easy to understand blocks of music that when you do deliver it to your participants that it's easily absorbed, and an opportunity for them and you not to get bored because you're just hearing the same thing over and over again. I'm not going to hit play because it will feature in episode 0506, and you know what, if you want to hear it, you're going to have to go over there and listen. Everything you need to know about A State of Ride can be found at mattyclark.com.au, and again, link is in the details. We'd love you to come along and check it out. So our live stream is on Twitch Friday night, 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern. Replays on YouTube. We've got the full episode playlist, so you're able to consume all of this content. Primal patrons, for a small bit of support each month, have the ability to stream all of the ASOR edits and consume a whole bunch of other content as well that can make you become the best version of yourself as far as instructor resources are concerned. So again, if you like the content and you want to learn a little bit more, make sure you hit like and subscribe, and you'll get a notification every time that I throw up a new editorial and a new piece of content around indoor cycling, teaching, production, all the fun stuff. That's about it. I think that we're going to wrap this one up, and I'm going to say much love. I can't wait to see you on Friday night. Bye-bye.